Be talking about slope. This is 2.2 for our notes. So let's go ahead and get started. So our warm-up, write the equation of the line that is parallel to 4x minus 2y equals 6 and passes through the point 1, 2. So the first thing I need to do is I need to go ahead and find the slope of this equation, because I know that if the lines are parallel, they should have the same slope. So we have 4x minus 2y equals 6. So we're going to start by subtracting 4x from both sides, which will leave us with negative 2y equals negative 4x plus 6. Next, we're going to go ahead and use the division property of equality on both sides of our equation and divide both sides by negative 2, which will leave us with y is equal to negative 4 divided by negative 2 will give us positive 2, times x, positive 6 divided by negative 2 will leave us with negative 3. So therefore, our slope is positive 2. And since it's parallel, our new slope should also be 2. So we also know that we're passing through the line 1, 2. So this will be x1, this will be y1. Now, we can write this in multiple ways. I'm going to show you guys both. I'm going to show you guys slope-intercept form as well as point-slope form. So let's go ahead and start with point-slope. For point slope, all we need is a point and the slope. So we have a point, we have a slope, we can go ahead and use point slope form. Point slope form is written as y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And the only variables that we're going to fill in for are m, x1, and y1. So our equation is y minus 2 equals m, which is 2, times x minus x1, which is 1. So this is our equation in point-slope form that passes through the line 1, 2 and has a slope that's 2. That's parallel to this line. Now if I want to write it in slope-intercept form, this is the one that you guys probably remember more so from last year. That's y equals mx plus b. This time I'm going to plug in 1 for x, 2 for y, and I'm going to solve for b. So I now have y, which is 2, equals m, which is also 2, from right up here. It's still parallel, times x is 1, plus b. So now we just solve for b. So I have 2 equals 2 plus b. If I subtract 2 from both sides, we get b equals 0. So therefore our equation, if I substitute 0 in for b, we now have y equals 2x plus 0. So these are our two equations. These are the same exact line. They'll pass through the point 1, 2, and they both have a slope of positive 2. So those are our answers. Now again, this middle equation right here, this was just so that we can find out what the slope is, because if it's parallel, they should have the same slope. If they're perpendicular, opposite reciprocal slopes. So that is our answer, and again, we can see it right here. This is in slope-intercept form. I don't have the point-slope form on this slide. Again, point-slope is right over here. You can write it either way. Either one is an acceptable answer. More than likely, you'll see it written in slope-intercept form on the test. But it'll be more of a drag and drop where you need to fill in the slope and the y-intercept. Or if it's written in point-slope form, you'll need to fill out the point and also your slope. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our notes. We are going to be talking about slope today. So with slope, let's go ahead and see what it is. There's multiple ways to write slope. Slope is just the rate of change, how much we're changing by. So the relationship between two variables and the rate at which those variables are changing. So we can find slope by using the equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 for any 2 points on the line. We can also use rise over run if we're given a graph. Rise is how much we go up or down. If it's going up, it's positive, down is negative. And run is how much we're moving left or right. Left is negative, right is positive. So Depending on which way we move on a graph, we can use rise over run as well, if you would rather not use the points. Either one works though. Now, some other key points with this is that if two lines are parallel, then their slopes are equal. We saw that on our warm-up. It had a slope of 2, so our line that we created had a slope of 2. Again, they're parallel, so the slopes are equal. If two lines are perpendicular, then the slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other. Meaning, if I have a slope of 3 over 4 originally, the opposite reciprocal would be negative 4 over 3. So again, the sign changes, whether it's positive to negative, and then I flip my fraction upside down. Now, if I have a whole number such as 5, well, that will change to 1 over 5. Because don't forget, 5 is the same as 5 over 1. So again, and this needs to be negative, of course. So again, we change signs, and we flip where we're at in the fraction. The last definition that we have on this is altitude. Altitude is a perpendicular segment from a vertex of a triangle to the opposite side. So it's going to be perpendicular, so it's going to create a 90-degree angle here to the opposite side, and it goes straight from one vertex, and it makes that perpendicular segment. So that is what an altitude is, and we'll be working with altitudes a little bit today as well. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the different types of slope that we'll see, and you guys have seen all of these slopes in algebra before. So, the first slope is a positive slope. That means that we're going up from left to right. So as y values increase, as I increase my y values, x values will also increase. So again, as x continues to rise, y continues to rise. So that's what we're seeing here. A zero slope is that y values will be constant as x increases. As my x values get larger, y does not change, it stays the same. So this would be a slope of 0, m equals 0 here. Next, we have a negative slope, so y values are decreasing as x values increase. So as I move further right, as my x values get larger, my y values become more negative. They decrease in value. And then lastly, no slope. No slope is a vertical line. There is no change in the y. The graph does not represent a function. So in this case, this is such as the line x equals 2. This creates a vertical line. Now, the reason that we get this is when our run is 0. So if I have a slope of 4 over 0, that gives me an undefined slope, which tells me right away that the line will look something like this. That it will be a vertical line. So there is no rise over run that works. I can rise 4. If I run 0, it's going to have a slope that is undefined. And again, a slope of 0 and a slope of undefined are not the same line. So a slope of 0 is horizontal. A slope that's undefined is vertical. So keep that in mind. Undefined slopes and 0 slopes are not the same. All right, let's go ahead and do some practice. Pause the video, try this one out if you'd like. We're going to show that triangle CEF is a right triangle. Now to do that, we need to find a right angle. Now based upon what we know, we can find a right angle if we have slopes. So looking at this triangle, we should look for a right angle, an angle that looks familiar like a right angle. So out of all these angles, C, E, and F, the only one that looks like it could be 90 degrees is angle F. So we're going to find the slopes of CF and EF to see if they are perpendicular. So first off, let's go ahead and find the slope of, what would be better? Let's go ahead and find the slope of CF first. So CF. To find the slope of CF, we're going to use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's what we'll use for all of our slopes. So for CF, I have 7 minus 3 over 4 minus 1. That'll give me 4 over 3. So that's my slope, 4/3. I can go ahead and write that here. Now, for this to be a 90-degree angle, the slope of FE needs to be negative 3/4. It needs to be the opposite reciprocal of 4/3. So let's find the slope of EF. For EF, we use the same equation. So now we have 7 minus 4 over 4 minus 8. 7 minus 4 is 3. 4 minus 8 is negative 4. So we have negative 3/4 is our slope. These slopes are opposite reciprocals of one another. So this is a 90-degree angle. So again, as long as the slopes are opposite reciprocals, that shows that angle CEF is a right angle. And again, that's how I can tell if we have 90 degrees. Just look for perpendicular slopes, especially on the coordinate plane. You can always find that out. All right, let's go ahead and try another one. Try this one on your own if you'd like. Find the slope of line AB to the nearest hundredth. Again, we're using that slope equation. Slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you'd like, you can go ahead and pause the video real quick and then jump back in, and I'll have the answer for you. All right, so for this one, we're going to go ahead and use that equation once again. So I have y2, so 2 rad 5, minus y1 radical 5, over x2, which is 6, minus x1, which is 3. Now, doing this, 2 rad 5 minus rad 5 gives me 1 radical 5. 6 minus 3 gives me 3. If we do radical 5 divided by 3, that gives us about 0.75. 0.75. So the slope is about 0.75. Now this is also an acceptable answer, radical 5 over 3. And this is also an acceptable answer of about 0.75. Again, the directions on the actual question will be more specific of round it to the nearest hundredth or leave it as a fraction. So keep that in mind as well. And again, here's our work. Next up, given triangle ABE as shown, find A, the slope of the altitude of AC, and B, the slope of the median of AD. Now, if we're finding the slope of the altitude AC, that's the opposite reciprocal of the slope of BE. So we first need to find the slope of BE. So the slope of BE is equal to 5 minus 3 over 6 minus 4. Again, just x1, y1, x2, y2. This will give me 2 over 2, which is equal to 1. So therefore, the slope of the altitude of AC, that needs to be opposite reciprocal. So the slope of AC is the opposite reciprocal. Well, the opposite reciprocal of positive 1 is negative 1. So that's our answer. Slope of AC equals negative 1. Next, we need to find the slope of the median of AD. So the median of AD, that's the segment from the opposite vertice that goes through AD's midpoint. BE's midpoint. It should go through BE's midpoint. So we're going from A through BE's midpoint, and I'll call that midpoint point D. So we're going from A through D. So to do that, we first need to find the midpoint of BE. So the midpoint of BE you can find using the midpoint formula, x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. This will give me 4 plus 6 over 2, 3 plus 5 over 2, which is the same as, go ahead and bring it down here, 10 over 2, comma 8 over 2, which is the point 5, comma 4. So 5, comma 4, this is going to be point D, our midpoint. Now, we're going to have to find the slope of AD now. So I have 2 points. I have point A and point D, so I can go ahead and find that slope. So the slope of AD is equal to 10 minus 4 over negative 2 minus 5. 10 minus 4 will give me 6. Negative 2 minus 5 will give me negative 7. So the slope of AD is negative 6/7. So again, here's the answer for A, negative 1. The answer for B, negative 6/7. All right, so that is it for our actual lesson today. Your assignment should be up on Schoology for you guys to work on for the rest of the hour. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. Other than that, have a great rest of your day.